Pick up a bar of Cadbury dairy milk. You've probably had one this week. Most of the people in this country have. It's been around since 1905. It doesn't get more British than this. Flip it over and read the ingredients. There's something in there that Cadbury removed for Australian consumers after enough of them complained. They reversed the decision and took it out of the recipe. Australia got the better bar. You're still eating the one they couldn't be bothered to fix. In Australia, Cadbury introduced palm oil to the dairy milk recipe. The backlash was immediate and consumers could taste the difference. Sales plummeted. Cadbury's reversed the decision and they took the palm oil out. Now look at the UK version. Palm oil, right there in your bar. This is a key point. Same company, same bar, same name on the wrapper, different ingredients depending on where you live, and different standards depending on how much the consumer pushes back. The Australian recipe runs at 27% cocoa solids minimum, the UK version 20%, 7 percentage points of cocoa butter quietly removed, and palm oil is put in its place. Now, I'm a farmer. I raise livestock, I produce food, and I want to be straight with you why I'm talking about a bar of chocolate. I understand commodity pricing, I live it. Every week I watch the gap between my animals' costs to raise and what a processor is likely to pay me for them. I watch the supermarkets talk about supporting British farming while squeezing every penny out of the farm gate price. Mondelez, the company that owns Cadbury, runs on the same calculations. Every ingredient in that bar is a cost to be minimised. Cocoa butter costs more than palm oil. UK milk fat costs more than palm oil. So palm oil goes in. But let me give you some context, because Cadbury's didn't always belong to the company making these decisions. Cadbury was actually founded in Birmingham in 1824, and it was a British company. It had a Quaker ethos, genuine concern for workers, and the community where it operated. In 2009, you may remember, Kraft, an American food corporation, launched a hostile takeover bid. Cadbury's managed to resist it, workers protested it, British politicians argued against it, but that didn't matter. In January 2010, Kraft still acquired Cadbury for £11.5 billion. And this again is a key point, because during that takeover bid, Kraft made a very specific promise. They said they would keep the Somerdale factory open near Bristol, 400 jobs. British workers in British production. Within months of completing the acquisition, Kraft announced the factory's closure. The takeover panel publicly censored Kraft for the broken pledge. It made no difference. The factory still closed. The jobs went. And the company that had just told the British public what they wanted to hear began making decisions about your chocolate bar from a boardroom in Chicago. The recipe changes followed. The bars got smaller, and palm oil started going in. Now Cadbury built their entire brand on one promise: a glass and a half of fresh British milk in every single bar. They've run on that claim since 1928. They're still running on it now, and it's right there currently on the packaging. 426 millilitres of milk per 227 gram bar. A company still proud of what they put in, but here's something that's very interesting. Since Kraft took over, since the company became Mondelez International, the same bar has been hit 3 times simultaneously. Firstly, the size. In 2012, the standard bar was cut from 49 grams to 45 grams. In 2022, the family bar was cut by 10%, from 200 grams to 180 grams. But the same price. Second, the ingredients. Palm oil in. Cocoa solids down from 27% to 20% versus the Australian recipe. British milk fat partially displaced by the cheapest available vegetable fat. And the third, the price. The BBC confirmed last December that a Cadbury dairy milk bar went from £1.86 to £2.75. A 48% price increase. So why is your bar getting smaller, more expensive, and less chocolatey? Let me be absolutely clear about what that means. You are paying 48% more for a smaller bar made with cheaper ingredients, and a company that's still telling you about British milk, glass and a half in the bar. The Bourneville factory in Birmingham produces 35,000 tonnes of dairy milk tablet slabs every single year, approximately 234 million bars. At the estimated 2% palm oil content in the UK recipe, that single factory puts roughly 700 tons of palm oil into your chocolate every year. Now, if Cadbury replaced that palm oil with milk fat, British milk fat, you would approximately need 18 million litres of whole milk to make up the difference every single year. That's the entire annual milk output of roughly 16 average British dairy farms, replaced purely by palm oil imported from Southeast Asia. Again, another key point. Right now, UK dairy farmers are producing near record volumes of milk. Farm gate prices are still below the cost of production. Dairy farmers across the country are under financial pressures most people never see. There is demand for that milk. Cadbury built a brand telling you that their product was full of it. The decision to use palm oil instead is not a supply problem, it's a margin decision. A deliberate choice to replace British milk with the cheapest alternative available while keeping the glass and a half on the wrapper. So why palm oil? Palm oil has historically cost 60 to 70% less per tonne than cocoa butter, less than UK milk fat. It's one of the cheapest edible fats on the planet. Mondelez International reported revenues of $36 billion in 2024, gross margins running at 38 to 40% across their product range. They're not a struggling business absorbing rising costs. They have global supply chain teams whose job is to find cheaper input ingredients, and palm oil is what they found. So for every gram of cocoa butter and milk fat they replace with palm oil, it's pure margin. You pay the same price for the bar, or in the case of this, more. They pay less to make it. The difference goes to the Mondelez shareholders, not to the British farmers producing the milk that's still on the label, not to the cocoa farmers producing quality beans, not to you, the consumer, to the corporation that quietly bought the British institution and started treating it like a cost centre. But hold on a minute, what does palm oil do to the chocolate? Palm oil changes the product. This isn't my opinion, this is purely chemistry. Real chocolate has a specific melt point, very close to body temperature. That's why quality chocolate melts on your tongue. It's the cocoa butter. Palm oil has a higher melt point and a different fat crystal structure. So when you substitute it, even partially, you change the texture. You change the way it melts and you change the taste. Australian consumers noticed immediately when Cadbury changed their recipe. They complained loudly enough that Cadbury reversed the decision. That reversal is an admission. You don't remove an ingredient from a recipe you're proud of because people complained. You remove it because it turns out they were right. UK consumers never pushed back hard enough, so Cadbury's never had to blink. So why is your bar still made this way? Because nothing forces Cadbury to change it. UK food standards permit palm oil as an ingredient. There's no regulation requiring chocolate solid as dairy milk to contain a minimum ratio of cocoa butter or milk fat. Let me get on to the point and the purpose of this video. Within their rights is not the same as being straight. Legal is not the same as being honest. A wrapper that still says glass and a half on a product that also contains palm oil replacing cocoa butter while the bar is getting smaller and the price is going up is not the full picture. Now, if you put any of this to Mondelez, they'll have an answer ready. They'll tell you their palm oil is responsibly sourced, certified by the RSPO, the Round Table of Sustainable Palm Oil. What a wonderful name. Let me show you what that certification actually is. The RSPO is a body funded and governed largely by palm oil industry members. It's not a government regulator and it's not an independent watchdog. It is largely in part the palm oil industry regulating itself. And also in October 2024, Greenpeace confirmed that the RSPO actually weakened its no deforestation commitment in the revision of its own standards. A self-regulated body funded by the industry it regulates moved the goalposts in the industry's favour. Maybe I'm just being skeptical. And this is a key point though, because even if you accept the certification at face value, even if you believe every ton of Mondelez palm oil is grown responsibly, it does not answer the actual question. The question being, it is not where your palm oil came from. The question is why it's in your chocolate bar at all. When British dairy farmers are producing milk below the cost of production, when the Australian version of the same bar doesn't contain it, when Cadbury's own brand promise is built on British milk, sustainably sourced is not an answer to that question. It's a deflection from that. Thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Have a great week and I'll speak to you soon.